Bump,
Bump, bump,
bump,
bump, bump,
bump,
bump.
bump.
Bring. Yeah, we should get some lasers this morning.
Lasers for once.
There we are.
Lasers
There we are. We get the
winners.
lasers because lasers are for winners. And that's what the Dodgers were last night. A fantastic outing by Blake Snell. 5-0. The final score is the Dodgers salvage the final game of the series with the Philadelphia Phillies. And we can all breathe a sigh of relief. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Blue Review, presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant with Greg Bergman and Parker Bell. And Greg, coffee tastes a little bit better this morning now.
It does taste a little bit better. You know, when the last 2 days it's been bitter, and today it's nice and kind of still bitter, but tastes good.
Finally got a good night's sleep. It's been a
little more energy today.
Yeah. A little more pep in the step. Sky a little bit bluer today. All that kind of stuff.
Walk out
Ironically, it's raining, but I'm still feeling better.
But you know what? Still feeling great.
Is it
still
raining?
feeling great?
Oh,
absolutely. We'll get into what
overnight
happened last night and look ahead to the final 3 series of the season: Giants, D-backs, Mariners, and that wraps things up for the 2025 regular season in Major League Baseball. But first, as always, I want to give a shout out to the folks at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, of course, transforming the travel experience, saving guest time. If you need more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglax. All right. I guess we got to start with Blake Snell, right? That's the only real place to start in this one. Just continuing a string of incredible starting pitching. I saw at one point, Greg, during the game last night, they flashed a stat that said the previous 11 games, the Dodgers starting pitching had an ERA of 1.71. The footnote to that is that it said first in the National League. Now, that made me think, is there somebody in the majors or somebody in the American League who's been better over that stretch, which is really hard to fathom? But whatever, man. Blake Snell was nails last night.
He absolutely was nails. And he has been for the last couple outings. I think that's now, he had 12 last night, so that's 23 strikeouts in his last 2 appearances. So he has just been on fire. This whole pitching staff has been. So it was nice to see that the bullpen decided to back him up a little bit last night between Vezina and Scott, and we can get into all of that as well. But Blake Snell is such a gamer, dude. This is what he does. Like he's gone for the first part of the year, and then at the end of the year, he's like, "Haha, I'm at full power now. I'm going to destroy you all." So that's how that's been going down. You see the energy, the coffee, sleep. It all works together.
All that.
But honestly, I love the fact that he said that he didn't want to go out, and that Dave listened to him. That was just massive. To finally see someone.
Yes.
I know he would never do it, but I would have loved to see Shohei do the same thing the night before. That's not his style.
That's just not his personality.
Do it, but I loved seeing it. And it's also, I wonder how much it is because he doesn't trust his own bullpen.
That was my immediate thought. That was my first thought was Dave Roberts goes out there, Parker, and even before Roberts gets to the mound, you see Snell just shaking him off. Like, I'm good. I got this. So, 1, the fact that Snell shook him off. 2, the fact that Roberts went along with it. That, to me, Parker said both of these guys are like, we cannot, in this situation, a 3-run lead and 2 guys on base, we cannot turn this over to the bullpen right now.
And it's just true. It's true. They can't. So whether they were actively thinking about that or not, who knows? But all we do know is that, like Greg said, Snell is a bleeping gamer. Just that moment right there, that momentum that it'll build for this team, I think is huge. I think that's honestly a turning point in this pitching staff. I think that moment right there, seeing Dave actually have his back as well when he got the strikeout, seeing how hyped he was, that was huge for this team. And Snell, I think there's a stat out there that he's first since like Cy Young to do something like he did yesterday, which was obviously the last 2 starts, 11 plus batter strikeouts, 2 or fewer hits, 2 or fewer walks, and then also no extra base hits and no runs. So he's not just dominating, he's doing something like on a historic run. And if he can continue that, this team is going to be so dangerous. And the offense showed out, Marcus. Again, the sky is blue today, even if it's not. I'm so happy seeing yesterday's performance.
Yeah, I see in the chat Roy Estrada saying, in my opinion, outside of the disaster performance from our bullpen, we were the better team. We hit their best pitching. Our offense was better than theirs. Our pitching was World Series worthy. I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with that, except for that, that one little part where the guys who were supposed to take over out of the bullpen were bad, at least in 2 out of the 3 games. But I do think from top to bottom, Greg, I took away from this that if the Dodgers were to run up against the Phillies in a 7-game series, then I think there's a level of confidence you can have. Like, as I say that, I guess, as I take a deep breath, right? Because of the bullpen. But everything else, I thought these teams were really evenly matched over the last 3 nights.
Yeah, I thought that they were evenly matched, and I actually thought the Dodgers were the better team, and I love all that, everything he's saying. But at the end of the day, they lost 2 of 3, so you can't really make the argument so that they were better everywhere except for the bullpen. The bullpen that lost you the game, so that makes them the better team. No, but I do think that I'm not afraid of them still. I understand that they won. The pitching was so much better. They hit their 3 starters, all of them. They went after all 3 of their starters and got. I mean, they let them go deep because they couldn't hit later on, but they got to every single one of them, and I think that's something that's important, and that's something that we've seen the last 5 games where you're like, okay, you're going to go out, you're going to go get all of these guys, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, and just go all the way through the Phillies starters. Yeah, it was like, I'm not afraid of that team. I'm not afraid of any team in baseball right now. I think the Dodgers are still the best team. They need to just figure out what to do with this bullpen. And if Tanner Scott has maybe turned a corner, because I believe that's 3 outings in a row that he's given up nothing. So if he has figured something out, I'm not there yet. But if he has figured something out, then we have
Parker's waving you over to his side now. It was not the cleanest inning, but he had a 5-run lead to work with. Does give up a hit and a walk, but ends up
didn't matter if it passed.
Yeah,
you know what? He got out of it with no runs scored, and I think that was the important part, because I think for Tanner Scott especially, when Dave Roberts talks about confidence and getting confidence in his bullpen guys, I think Tanner Scott is probably the number one guy they're talking about there. And I saw it a little bit too. After he got a couple of guys on, it looked like he was sweating. It looked like he was a little bit nervous, like he was starting to, kind of like, oh no, here we go again sort of thing. And so him getting out of that, I think was a big boost for everybody. I thought, honestly, Vesia was the perfect guy to come out after Snell. Because I think you needed that emotion after Snell gets through that 7th inning. He strikes out Kemp and just screams on the mound. I think you needed somebody to kind of match that energy, and Vesia is the perfect guy. Which, side note to that, watching Vesia come like hopping out of the bullpen, only to have to stop and turn around and go walking back in last night, was pure comedy to me. But it was a great night. Do you guys want to hear my theory about the National League West?
Yes, please.
So I pull behind the curtain. I texted these guys last night that the NL West is Squid Game.
Yeah. I was waiting. I wanted to ask a lot of questions, but
yes,
I figured you'd explain here.
I am going to explain this because I'm sitting here watching, the Dodgers win last night at the same time the Padres won, and watching these 2 teams just stay 2 games apart, right? And it just made me think of all those just demonic Squid Games contests where you have 2 teams or 2 individuals that are like trying to win something, but they're just limping and dragging along to the end. And along the way, these teams have some horrific, brutal losses. They're losing guys along the way. But somebody's got to win this thing, right? Like, they're just going to drag themselves to the finish. And it's like when the Padres lose, the Dodgers, trip and break a limb, right? Or when the Dodgers figure out how to win, somehow the Padres are able to scrape themselves forward. Like, this really feels like there's somebody, maybe it's Rob Manfred. He's wearing a black mask and watching this from a lounge chair with a glass of bourbon, watching all this happen on a screen. But this has been the most painful end to a regular season that I can absolutely imagine. And all I can imagine is like just put the umpires in pink tracksuits with like shapes on their faces.
Got triangles
and just like watch
and
this thing
circles.
go down for the last week and a half.
So, okay, I love the analogy. So who would be who? So are the Dodgers trying to end the game? They're saying like, okay, we're the circles. We're trying to end the game.
I think they are, just
Padres
because
are the X. Like, no. We want to keep going. We want to keep trying to stay alive.
Yeah, because the Padres are trying to come back and win this thing, so they want to keep this game. The Dodgers like, let's just end this right now while we have the lead.
We're good.
It's fine. Let's just tap out. Like that's what this is. It's just. It's painful. This thing is like literally. This is going to be the longest 9 games ever.
Jeez.
And like the Dodgers can't add any game. They can't add any ground. The Padres can't make up any ground. It's been at 2 games for it feels like a week and a half now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, the Dodgers should be so far ahead. They can't put wins together overall. It's very frustrating. You're right though. It's been in this spot every time the Padres lose, the Dodgers lose. Every time the Padres win, the Dodgers win. It's like they're watching. Okay, you guys win. Okay, we'll do a little bit more this time. All right, we got you.
It was a thing that hit me, and I'm scrolling right now to see like how long it's been at 2 games. So like, okay. On September 6th, after the no-hitter gone awry against the Orioles, that dropped it to a game. It was a game for 3 days. Then it was up to 2 games. It got up to 3 games on September 10th, back to 2.5. So it's just been hovering around here from 1 to 3 for a month now.
What's crazy too is it allowed teams like the Giants and the Diamondbacks to get into a little bit of the race and into the wild card race because they got it hot. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, well, can we?
Are a game and a half behind the Mets right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Mets are a disaster. I have no idea why that team is just fully falling apart. I haven't watched enough of them, but it feels like this is. I know that he was in the World Series last year, but Juan Soto teams, when he first gets to a team, they feel like this would happen. When he went to the Padres, they didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I just again talking to a friend who's a Mets fan. It sounds like they've had similar problems to what the Dodgers had for a couple of months, where when they pitch, they don't hit. When they hit, the pitching falls apart. It's just like they can't, just like we talked about on this show for it feels like 2 months. Like they just can't put together a complete game. That's sort of where the Mets have been since, early July. I think it's since July. I think they have like either the worst or second worst record in all of baseball. Like they've been just bad.
Well, they lost like 8 or 10 in a row, something crazy like that. It's wild to see what's going on with the Mets.
Yeah, they're 2-8 right now in their last 10.
That's brutal. Yeah, they're falling apart. So we'll see. I would love for them to fall out, to be honest with you. Because
honestly, I was gonna say no, just because it would be nice to see if the Dodgers could get them in the first round. A team that's really free falling would kind of be nice.
Sure, but then that they would just turn it on and something would happen. And it would be a tough series, but. Because it's really just because I have hate for the Soto contract, not Soto. I have hate for the contract itself. The fact that he got so much money and he doesn't do anything particularly well. But he's been good this year. Outside of hitting, I don't know why he deserved it. He doesn't actually bring in more fans. His fan base is already implemented into the league. He doesn't bring in more fans. He doesn't do. He's not a good fielder. He doesn't pitch. He doesn't do anything else. Why is he making so much money? He's not going to bring in more revenue. I don't feel like. I don't see where the money works out. It's just Cohen being like, "Hey, I got all this cash. Let's throw it to Juan Soto."
You answered your own question. I was like, he was the next big free agent in line, and Steve Cohen is trying to prove to everybody around the league that he can go dollar for dollar with the Dodgers or anybody else. And so congratulations, Juan Soto. Like you stepped into the void and you took advantage of that. So then we'll get to a question from Marty in the chat asking what's up with Brock Stewart and Kyle Hurts.
Saw that.
What's up with that?
Stewart, I know, was on starting a rehab assignment earlier in the week. There's talk that he could be back very soon. I know they mentioned Kyle Hurts as possibly being part of the postseason plans as well. Which Parker brings us back to the conversation we had earlier this week. We've had several times, I think, in the last week or so, which is who gets left out in the bullpen. I mean, I think at this point, I think we all agree Kirby Yates is on the outside looking in. Then it becomes a question of what happens to, I don't know, who's out at this point. There's been Kasperius come back. Do they move Wrobleski? You still have starting pitching. You got to move to the bullpen. Stewart and Hurt means that there's 2 less spots potentially for some guys who are already in LA at this point.
Yeah, and I think we have those names. I think Yates specifically, we are just staying away from, and then it gets down to, exactly. It gets down to a couple of the other names, but they'll be debatable towards the end. But as we look at Stewart and as we look at Kyle Hurt, Stewart had 1 inning of scoreless work over there with the Comets, and it was good. I mean, he hit 96 with the fastball. The spin rate was really, really good. But the thing is, he had trouble with strikes. And it seems like everybody does when they do their rehab assignments. So we're going to have to see how that translates. But Marty, if you're asking, we should be seeing Brock Stewart soon. Kyle Hurt, there's a little less updates, but of course, he wants to be one of those guys that has playoff caliber stuff in terms of Dave Roberts. So it's going to come down to the end who they actually put on that roster. But I am confident in those 2. I think that they've shown enough in the past that it could work. But my guy though.
Does a guy like Edgardo Henriquez make it? He seems like he's kind of on the fringes right now. Like he seems like one of those borderline bubble guys for this bullpen.
I think you're going to get a couple of these guys that are going to make it. But cut them all. I don't want any of them. I don't want any of these guys on this roster. Like, honestly, I'm very much in on just not using anybody, just having the back-to-back starters. They're all terrible. They're all just completely volatile, and you can't trust any of them. I don't think Edgardo Henriquez. I think they're all because you have to have your. You gotta
have some.
You gotta have some of them. They're going to be on the roster, but I don't want to see anybody. Right now, I know Robo was bad. I think I could live with seeing Robo. I could see Dreyer being on the roster. Tanner Scott's going to be on the roster. Trinan, I trust more than probably anybody, despite the fact that he went there. Kopech will probably be on, but I don't trust him at all. He cannot throw strikes, so that's a complete mess to me. Henriquez just throws so hard that they're probably going to put him there. I don't know. That's really about it. I think Kasperius will come back up and make it. Brock Stewart, I think, will make it. But no, I don't need to see – I only want to see these guys in blowouts. You let these starters go as long as you can, or you do the piggyback. But otherwise, that's it. Like, you have to win. Just like last year we won on the backs of the bullpen, you have to win on the backs of the starters now. That's it.
Brock Stewart has to be – on the playoff roster, because if that's the big move you made at the trade deadline and he's not on the playoff roster, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing here? So it feels like his spot is pretty much guaranteed as long as he's healthy. Tanner Scott's spot is pretty much guaranteed just because of the investment made in him. It's going to be an interesting conversation.
Can we do that for just a second? Like, sure. I don't care what the investment is on anybody. Nobody should care. The Dodgers shouldn't care how much money you put into.
But you know that's in the conversation.
I understand saying, like, we gave them all this money. Well, that was your fault for giving them all that much money. Like, it's if you're still going to have them next year, then say, hey, if you don't figure it out, which he again to Parker's point, he's got his last 3 starts. Or the last 3 outings, he's been clean. But those, if it doesn't matter how much money you make. Come back next year and figure it out. If you cannot throw strikes, if you cannot get outs, you should not make the roster. You have now, what do you say was it 10 games?
9 games.
9 games left. 9 games. These are your 9 games to figure this out. So if you can't do it, you should not be on the roster. I don't care how much money you make.
Well, the money argument is good. I like that. I think that there's just a lot to this Scott season that has been so weird. Obviously, there were a couple injuries here and there. And then he went on his whole tangent about baseball, hating him. And then he goes on to say that, he feels he might be tipping pitches. And I think that last point, I think there's more to that than we realized. I think that he was actually tipping certain pitches and he was trying to overcompensate when people would figure out his fastball. And the last 3 outings, has been since he's mentioned that. So I trust that staff to kind of figure out that kind of issue And if that's what's gotten those 3 scoreless innings since then, I'm all for it. And Scott, Marcus, like you said, is probably a lock.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it continues these next 9 games.
By the way, you were right. It is 10 games. So it's a 4-gamer. It's Thursday. It's not Friday. So it's a 4-game series with the Giants.
Yep.
Off on Monday, and then they hit the road for the final
10.
6 games of the season. So tonight, game 1 of a 4-gamer with the San Francisco Giants. The Giants, who had been kind of hot until the Dodgers went up to San Francisco and took 2 out of 3 from them. And so they're still very much in the wild card race right now, just 2 games back of the Mets for the final wild card spot. So, I mean, this wild card race in the NL is going to be hectic, I think, going to the final week of the season.
It's going to be fun.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto against Logan Webb. So an outstanding pitching matchup tonight. Although last week, it was Kershaw versus Webb, and that game ended 13-7. So we'll see how that goes. The question becomes, Greg, can the Dodgers do to Webb again what they did the last time around, or is it because Yama's pitching that they're only going to score like 1 run?
Well, that's a little up and down right there, right? Like, because they typically do hit Webb well. That's just over their history playing against Webb. They typically hit him well, but every time Yamamoto's pitching, I just don't expect them to score more than 1 run. Now, hopefully the offense has fully turned that corner, and that they will start to show that they can score again, because they did it against Webb before. So maybe there's going to be some run support for Yamamoto tonight. Maybe that would be amazing. I don't trust it, but I would love to see it.
Last time Yama faced the Giants last week, went 7 innings, gave up 1 run, 1 walk,
and they lost.
10 strikeouts, 1 hit, and then Patrick Bailey hit a walk-off grand slam. So,
I mean, walk-off grand slam, sac fly, does all the same thing. It just looks worse.
Yeah,
pretty bad.
Yeah,
pretty bad. So, so that's. I don't know. Any final words before we wrap this one up today?
The chat wants to hear Wortvet.
Wortvet. Gotta love Wortvet.
Man, coming through.
Show me a longer stretch in which Dalton's been a better hitter. That's all I'm saying.
Look, and I know Jeff Spiegel said, small sample size and he's not really coming around yet. And maybe he's right in the long term, but for right now, Ben Rortvet's getting it done. So,
I mean, I don't know how you go. I don't know how you not have him on over rushing at this point. Well, it's about who's hot at the right time, right? I mean, you can also, if he's not good, you can also just taxi squad him. You can figure that part out. I think Rortvet is going to be the guy. Dalton Rushing's going to be around here a long time. He's going to be back next year. He's going to be a big part of this team. I think just for what he's done so far since he's been here, you have to go with Rortvet.
Maybe. We'll see. Because, when Will Smith comes back, they're not going to carry 3 catchers. So we'll see who's the odd man out at that point. So I would expect Dalton Rushing plays tonight. We'll see. The lineups will be announced probably in a few hours, so we'll figure that out at that point. Yep. We're back with you, of course, tomorrow to talk about all of it here on the Blue Review. I want to thank everybody in the chat, as always, for waking up early and hanging out with us and being participatory. That's a word, right? I also want to thank the folks at LAX for their support as well. Stick around, because the Sedano and Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 6:30 to 6:55, to recap Game 1 of the 4-gamer against Los Gigantes. That'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review, presented by LAX. For Parker Bell, for Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody, right here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel.
See you.
Review.